Cimoooooooo!
Welcome to Tech Tuesday, a weekly series where we discuss some awesome tech cards as well as help make you a better player. This week's card is Retaliating C, a brand new short print common out of Clash of Rebellions that's really going to bug your opponent. Now, Retaliating C is just like all the other sea monsters. It's a hand trap. And it's a level 4 Earth Insect type monster with 1400 attack and 1400 defense. And the effect reads that during either player's turn, when a spell card is activated that involves the effect of special summoning a monster or monsters, you can special summon that card from your hand. And when it's summoned in that way, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead while it remains on the field. And when Retaliating C is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to add one Earth Insect type monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. Now let's break this down. Now when I first saw this card in my sneak peek, which you actually can see in my sneak peek poll video, I actually got one, I immediately fell in love with this card because this card is insane. This card has so much potential to be really good, and depending on the meta, I mean, it could be a very viable side deck choice. Now, why is this card a good tech card? Well, let's go ahead and analyze the meta and see how we can best use Retaliating C to our advantage. Now, after the July 16th, 2015 ban list, you can argue that Necross are still pretty much the best deck of the format. However, this card is an incredible counter to the deck, because anytime they activate a Necross ritual spell, you can chain this and any card that gets sent to the graveyard is going to get banished. So for instance, if they activate Kaleido Mirror to summon Unicorn, that Herald is going to get banished, meaning it won't trigger, and they're not going to get a search off of it. Additionally, it's also going to banish Shuret if they're going to be using it from their hand, meaning that they're not going to get the dual use out of it that they use when they use Mirror to banish it for another ritual spell. So being able to have that kind of power against Necross is pretty good. Now, Retaliating C is amazing against Chenaults because if they activate a Chenault fusion or an El Chenault fusion and you chain this, they're going to be in for it because not only are any Chenault monsters that they send going to get banished instead, but if they use a construct as the material, say if they were going to summon another construct, that construct's not going to allow you to add a fusion spell back to your hand. And in addition to that, the fusion spell itself is going to get banished, meaning they can't recur it with any of the fusion monsters later on. And that is huge. Another deck this card is really good against is Heroes, because if they activate a Mass Change on a Shadow Mist, you can chain Retaliating C because they have to target before they send Shadow Mist to the graveyard. So then the chain will resolve, Shadow Mist is going to get banished, and then they're not going to get the search off the Shadow Mist, and the Mass Change is going to get banished as well, so they can't recycle it with something like Mask Charge later on. Sure, they might have the Dark Law, but the fact that you stop that search is going to be very pivotal in that play. And last but not least, this card wrecks Infernoids. I mean, if you chain this off of a Reasoning or a Monster Gate, I mean, you're going to want them to mill 30, 32, 35 cards because every single one of those cards is going to get banished, and that's basically going to be an auto win for you. And that's only half of the effect. When Retaliating C gets sent to the graveyard, you get to recur another monster. And I mean, I actually went ahead and looked up if there were any other really viable monsters to add off of this that aren't sea monsters. And I mean, unless you're playing like a Kogaracho style insect plant deck, I mean, you're pretty much going to be going for Max C or Flying C if you happen to run that as well. But the fact that you can search a Max C when this card dies is just absolutely phenomenal. And not to mention too, it's still a 1400 attack level 4 monster. I mean, it has synergy in rank 4 decks, and the fact that it's 1400, it can just be normal summoned out by itself, doesn't limit its viability. I mean, this card has a lot of dimension to it, and I really like it. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Retaliating C. I mean, I love this card. I think it has so much potential, and depending on how the meta shapes, I mean, if we have a very special summon via spell effect based format, I mean, this card could be seeing a lot of play, and I just like it against a lot of really strong decks. Thank you so much for watching the video. We'll see you next week.
Cimoooooooo!